Hello, and welcome to the Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm your host, John Knutson. Today, we are interviewing the candidates for the St. Croix County Board that will represent the City of Hudson and the Village of North Hudson. We'd like to remind everyone to get out and vote on April 5th. We now would like to welcome candidate Tim Hall, who is running to represent District 6, which serves the City of Hudson. Tim, tell us about yourself, your background, and your qualifications.
My name is Tim Hall. I'm the current county supervisor for District 6. And I've been married to my lovely wife, Joyce, for 38 years now. We reside in Hudson up behind the high school. I have two grown adult daughters, Elizabeth and Marie, and a wonderful little granddaughter, Marie, who's 3.5 this year. I currently work as an engineering manager for a global services corporation. And in that role, I'm responsible for providing engineering solutions and teams to solve challenges in the aerospace and transit areas of our business practice. I've been doing engineering work since I graduated from the University of Wisconsin. I have a master's in business administration from the University of Wisconsin as well. And I've been employed in this field for almost 40 years now. So a long time doing this sort of work. And I think, the things that I like to do in my off time, I garden. I'm a member of the St. Croix Prairie Gardens. I also do some volunteer work for WestCap, doing tutoring for students in math and sciences, and spend a lot of time with my granddaughter, chasing her around the backyard and taking her on the swings.
Why are you interested in serving on the St. Croix County Board?
I want to continue to give back to the county that's given me so much, and in general to civic society. I think all of us, in life receive so many things from the community around us, and maybe at the time we don't realize it. Maybe we don't say thank you for the opportunities we're given, the education, the great schools, those sort of things. And as I've gotten older, I've thought, it's my turn now. I've worked within that system. Now I want to get back to that, to the community in that format by ensuring that our county government and the services it provides here in St. Croix County are maintained at the highest levels that they currently are and can be strengthened where they can be. At the same time, as a taxpayer and having many people in my district who are on fixed incomes, I'm very aware that we need to have fiscal responsibility and stewardship as one of our top priorities here. So I feel with my experience doing both budgeting and project management for very large international projects, as well as my current experience with the county board, that suits me very well for making sure that we wisely use our tax dollars and keep our services where they're at.
What are your priorities and vision for St. Croix County if you get elected?
Well, the first thing I would want to do is make sure that our public safety department is kept at and expanded this term. So the public safety sheriff's department encompasses public sheriff and our court systems. I've been a strong advocate and voted for the proper funding to make sure that we are able to attract and retain sheriff's deputies, dispatchers within the department. I've listened to Chief Knutson's concerns about where he needs help. And in that area too, we've also, with some of the relief funds that we've gotten from the federal government, provided for the addition of some social workers who can help with the caseloads of some of our residents who can end up in system. So rather than having our sheriff's deputies doing things like, interventions, we can have trained psychologists with them who will also take that burden off and who are trained to handle those situations. It's something that the sheriff appreciates and has asked for. When I spoke with him last council meeting 2 months ago, he had said that he was satisfied with the support he's getting with us now in terms of staff retention. He thinks he's in a good spot there, but we want to keep a careful eye on that. We want to keep our sheriff's department strong and the people in the county safe. The next thing I want to do is talk about the judicial end of the puzzle, and that's the courtrooms and the court system. So there, we've modernized the record systems. I voted for putting that in place, which will streamline and make more efficient the paperwork that's required to process all of the cases that go through our court systems. I voted to expand the current county courts to add an additional courtroom as well as jail space, and to put in a memorial hallway as well for our officers who have given everything in the line of duty. Then Health and Human Services, that's the other part of the puzzle that goes with our basic support for our citizens. That needs to be maintained and kept strong. And that's a lot of that is the healthcare campus in New Richmond, making sure that Kitty Rhodes is properly funded and staffed, as well as the CNAs there. So in the case of the CNAs, we've made sure that we can keep them by giving them a retention bonus, and that's been very successful. The same with the police officers. We provided them with a service-based cash reward or incentive for staying on. We have to work with that differently a little bit because it's within the union negotiating channel. So the awards, though, were sent with some of the COVID money that we received to make sure that both groups knew that we appreciated their service in these difficult times and that we wanted to keep them with us. Community development is another priority for me. Obviously, we are the second fastest growing county in the state, and we want to keep it that way because as we grow, that keeps the tax burden on our taxpayers low or lower than it would be otherwise. We can afford to pay for the services that we have based on the rate of growth that we have. And that's a great way to do business and something that I want to continue to champion. We cap our budget requests. So every department right now puts in a request for budgetary increases every budgetary year. Then we as the full county board have a working session where we go through our priorities that we receive from the administration, from public input, from local businesses in the Economic Development Council, and then from our constituents. We take all of those items, we go into work groups, with folks from all over the county, and we sit down and we prioritize those things that we feel need emphasis in the budget. We did that very successfully last summer. I enjoyed the chance to really get to know a lot of my colleagues on the board. Oftentimes, there are disagreements on priorities, but it's never personal. It's always just about what people think is the most important in their community. So I want to keep going with that. I want to make sure that in the community development, we continue to attract and maintain good paying jobs and businesses that can be a part of our wonderful community and growing. So I want to see continued business expansion. I would also like to make sure that people can get to those jobs when they come in. So one of the things that I've heard from both the Chamber of Commerce from Hudson and from business leaders is we see a lot of people that we would love to hire, but they live in, say, Roberts or Glenwood City, and they can't come to Hudson. There's no way for them to get here. They don't have a car, they don't drive. We have excellent rideshare programs in the city of River Falls and New Richmond. We would like to, and we're helping as the transit committee, stimulate a rideshare system in the city of Hudson. We're working with city officials there. And we want to make sure that if those are up in place, that we actually have a small transit loop that runs between the three cities to get people to the industrial park so that they can get to jobs or to shopping. We also want to strengthen our seniors and ADA rideshare programs. Currently, they were hit very heavily by COVID, and they're only doing life critical work. In a lot of cases, they're having difficulty getting staff. We work with them to coordinate and see if we can help at any way at the county level through grants or funding aid from the federal government or the state to keep them in operation and expand their services. It's been an especially tough time for seniors who have been shut in or ADA folks who have not been able to get out and get around in the community. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about our roads and parks. So I'm on the transportation committee, so it's snow plowing, maintenance, road work. A lot of you probably have a lot to think about on the roadwork side. Well, this summer we're going to be starting with County Road A at McCutcheon, putting in a large roundabout. That's been top of our priority list, but I'm very proud to say that the transportation department in this county is one of the most efficient in the state. We have an excellent record of making sure that all of our roads are properly maintained and our costs are kept to a minimum by wise future buying of things like salt and brine components. So, I think we're doing a nice job there. And then finally, that brings me to the Hudson Library. And the Hudson Library has been a contentious issue at the county board level for over 4 or 5 years now. There's an agreement that's in place that was done a number of years ago that does not seem to be working well for all involved. And what the county has done, I've contributed to this effort as well, is to put together a plan that we feel offers Hudson solid, maintainable funding for their systems, and at the same time takes into consideration the fact that we do not want to unnecessarily burden the smaller communities in the county out in the rural areas. So that's in front of the Hudson Joint Library right now. It takes several different community representatives to agree to that. But once that's in place, and we're pretty sure that it will be, we think that the Hudson Joint Public Library will be well funded and have a stable place, and we'll get that off of our yearly agenda. Then finally, I want to talk about our new park that we added. So Eckert Bluffs, just north of downtown North Hudson. It's up on the bluffland over the St. Croix. It's a beautiful facility. It's going to be starting to have initial development going in for campsites. There'll be recreational trails through the whole area. And I think that's an excellent addition to one of the things that makes our county such a jewel is our park system. Finally, I want to talk about the challenges or the part of the finance puzzle that a lot of people have questions about. When you ask, where does my tax money go? And the county has a great set of charts if you ever want to dig into them. But if you think about your property tax bill, the bulk of that is going for your supporting HHS and the police, public safety group. Most of the rest of the county operations are run from state and federal and fees. And so when we look at what drives tax rates, we're also making sure that those things are vital services and that they're well done. Coming up, the other thing I wanted to do here is make sure that we're prepared for the challenges that I see coming ahead of us. And that's going to be right now inflation. We're seeing intense salary pressure throughout the county, material goods and supply chains. So we're very fortunate in that we proactively bought our road salt and other items on contract. We do a very good job of making sure that that's all pre-planned. And so we're not touched yet, but in the next few years, we're going to start to see that rippling of inflation through our system. So in summary, I would like to say on those priorities, number one is keeping our cap on taxes such that we cannot increase our budget for county services above the growth rate of the valuation of new property coming in and new resources. So what that means is we have effectively kept and reduced our mill rate year over year for the last 5 years, and I want to continue that trend.
Are there any additional comments you would like to make?
In closing, I have a couple thoughts. One is my approach to the position of county supervisor. I take a pretty nonpartisan approach because it's a nonpartisan job. The thing I love about my interaction with my other supervisors is that when we come in with a problem-solving mindset. So we sit down and ask, what's the problem? We all come from different spots, and I think that's a great thing. I actually like the fact that there's a very large diversity of opinion on a lot of different topics within the board. But when we sit down and ask, what are we trying to solve for St. Croix County and for its residents, it clarifies things and it brings forth the best in all of us to provide solutions. I don't want to lose that. I want to see that we stay the clean, clear, problem-focused group that we are. And I pledge to do that as well. Doesn't mean that I won't have disagreements with some of my fellow supervisors. That's normal, natural, and to be probably be expected and championed, because a board of one view is not going to be representative of everyone in the county. Secondly, I want to pledge I want to make the pledge that I will always be open to everyone's phone calls and emails, and I will respond to you. And I've done that in my 2 years on. And I want to continue that because that's how I get input. When I come to a problem, I'm afraid I approach it a lot like an engineer. I look at what is it that is before us and what data do we have for arguing different solutions and different paths. There's no one right way for every problem. And so what I want to do is gather as much information. And for that, I need your input as citizens. And I've received a lot of emails, letters, phone calls, and I love that. Even if you're not happy with the decision I've made, I want to hear why and understand, because maybe I've missed something and maybe the next time I'll have a different viewpoint. So with that, I pledge to always be open and to be receptive to your ideas. I pledge to you that I will make St. Croix County and Hudson's District 6 a better place for you in the next years. Thank you. I'd ask for your vote on April 5th.
I would like to thank River Channel for presenting these candidate interviews. And if you'd like to know which district you are in, please check the website below. We would like to remind everyone to vote on April 5th, and thank you very much for joining us.